right. Welcome back to Happy Hour with Heather and Guest. This is episode number 105. I'm that other dude, Andrew. And as always, I'm joined by Heather.
Hello.
Good to be doing another episode with you, as always.
Yes.
And
You.
today, it was your choice in the rotation. So we're going with a band, I believe it's pronounced, you and I both pronounce it Slowner. Slowner. But it could be Slowner. I'm not sure. So I will hand you the reins, and you can take us away.
Okay. Well, I first heard of Slowner. I do believe I first heard of them through but the Fuzzy Cracklins music label. And I used to have a subscription to Fuzzy Cracklins where you can get every new release. You can get it either digitally, or he has a monthly CD program where he'll send you CDs of new releases. And I was a subscriber for a little while, and Slowner was one of the bands that was released. So I'm pretty sure that's how I learned about them. And their new album, Leading to Nowhere, was released August of 2023. And I really like the stoner doom and grunge combination that they have going on. Before before their song Control, they have this clip that I really should be my alarm tone in the morning. It talks about how they haven't hit their sales goal yet. And get your ass out of bed and get to work. So I think that should be my alarm in the morning. Get your ass out of bed and come to work. Just over and over and over again. I thought that was pretty funny. And I thought, I thought in America, you know, that that's the way it was in America, but I thought maybe in Brazil, this band is out of Brazil, and I thought maybe it was a little bit more laid back in Brazil, but I could be wrong about that. So, my favorite song on the album is the last song called Seer, and it's slower and really melodic, but it has this underlying heaviness to it that I think is a little bit hard to pull off that combination. So I thought that was great. And the vocals reminded me of the late great Wayne Staley, which is always great. So I noticed they haven't posted anything in a while. So I hope they're still active, but I'm not 100% sure about that, but hopefully. What did you think?
Well, first, what you just said reminded me. For a little while, when I was teaching middle school, and I would have to get up much earlier than I wanted to, I would have my alarm play the song "Clocked In" by Black Flag, which is a similar, anthem against having to go punch a time clock. Um, and then I remembered my cousin once telling me that a friend of his tried to listen to Inagata Devita every morning for his alarm clock. And I think he made it a few months before my friend jokingly said he went crazy. But now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if that was a joke. Um, yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to get you out of bed, but you may start resent. I don't. Well, is it possible to resent your job more than you already do? I don't know. So perhaps it doesn't matter. Um, that's not your job particularly. I just meant jobs in general. Typically, um, so what did I think? Well, first I was on a mission. Um, I started listening to the music, and then I couldn't wrap my head around what Slowner was, or if it is Slowner. And when I found out that they were from Brazil, I started looking up whether or not that meant anything in Portuguese. Um, So I went on Google Translate, and to my knowledge, unless it's a very obscure um, slang, but the internet didn't have anything. So I don't know whether or not it actually means something, or if it's. So I'm curious to find out if it's like with Murloc, and we still don't know what Murloc means. So I'm guessing it has to do with slow, some sort of the conjugation of the verb slow, but again, I don't know. And then the other interesting thing I thought about was the cover, because it looks like a statue pointing in a direction with kind of like mist around, in the middle of a like an oasis somewhere or a desert. So I was trying to figure out who the statue was, or if it's if it's like a well-known statue in Brazil, or just around, somewhere around the world. Um, but then I started reading about them because I was curious about the music, because it is sort of a unique combination of elements, like you said, like doom, stoner, and grunge. Um, so on, uh, um, I think it was on Bandcamp, it said inspired by stoner doom of the '90s with influences from alternative metal. So I felt like that was a pretty good, and it reminded me of a band from Greece who we listened to before, Yellow Devil Sauce. They had sort of a doom stoner with an alternative '90s vibe. And then I read this on Doomed Nation. So they're from, and again, I don't know how to pronounce the place in Brazil, but it's either Recife or Recife, or Recife. Began activities in 2018, transitioning between genres like stoner, doom, and sludge. The band was strongly influenced by acts like Caius and Black Sabbath. In 2019, they released their self-titled EP with 5 tracks. In 2023, they returned with a new vocalist, and a new album was soon released called Leading to Nowhere. In this material, the band expands on its stoner doom roots, incorporating influences from alternative metal, Deftones, and Gojira, namely, and instruments like the synthesizer in a more mature sound lyrically. The new album goes through several themes that derive from a shared feeling of lack of perspectives and alienation in the contemporary times, driven by increasing wealth, inequality, wars, and mental health crisis, all very pertinent to this generation. That's from a website, Doomed Nation. Um, so I think perhaps they parted ways with an original founder and lead singer to have a new. So that's perhaps one of the reasons. Plus, I think the pandemic, like with many bands, set them back a little bit. So perhaps they're playing catch up right now. But I really did enjoy the combination of sort of an alternative grunge feel to what was a stoner doom thing. And the last thing I'll say, I saw a really funny meme of a guy. Here, I'll just show it to you. I'll make it the background. Here we go. All right, you're still there?
Yeah,
So,
I'm still here.
okay, well, you can't. It's not showing you. I mean, you see the guy. His mouth is sort of like the Joker's. Like, he's a real dude, but he's got unique features. And above it reads, "I can't explain it, but this guy looks like how the Offspring sounds." So I was thinking, like, Slowner is the name I would give a band that has their sound, um, where it's sort of like that. Here, I'm going to switch us back. Where it's sort of got that stoner doom meets grunge type thing. I think your suggestion that the vocalist sounds like Lane Staley is like right in the pocket there. So I started listening to the self-titled album first, because I only could find a single off of Leading to Nowhere, and then I realized that the album had come out. So then I found it on YouTube, and I listened to the whole thing. Um, and it's interesting to kind of see the progression they had made from more of their stoner doom roots, like they mentioned Caius for the first album, into more of the grunge sort of Deftones influence of the second album. But definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, I was curious about that statue too on the cover. The cover art. Yeah, and you're right. It's like it's pointing, and you like wonder, and the name leading to nowhere, and the statue is pointing, into the clouds, basically with clouds all around it. And you just kind of wonder what's the statue pointing at, and what's the significance of that?
Yeah, and the statue isn't facing the camera.
Right.
It's facing almost the other way, like it's in profile, but it's the back. Most of the back is to you, so you can tell that the statue, the gentleman in the who is posing for the statue, has a mustache. Um, and the only person I could sort of think it looked like from that angle was a little bit like Joseph Stalin, but I'm pretty sure that that's not who it was. Um, that's the or Nietzsche or someone with a pronounced mustache like that. But yeah, all I could really Sherlock Holmes from the whole thing was that he's pointing to a direction that's leading to nowhere. But
Yeah. I really do. I really like the name of that album.
yeah, well,
Um,
and it's a very it was also one of those things that I began thinking about. And I think I may have spoken to you about this off camera at one time, but MC Escher is an artist who's known for a lot of the like surreal visual drawings. Like there's one where he's drawing himself holding like a glass ball that you can see his reflection in. He's got the stairs that lead to nowhere, like all those stairs that lead to nowhere. Um, so when I was in middle school, his son came to give a talk to us. And one of the photos he showed that his father drew was of a writing desk with all these mini alligators on them. And the mini alligators are sort of walking around the writing desk, and there's, inks and like a pipe and like a paperweight. And he was saying throughout the years, people have come up to him and said what they think all of these things symbolize. And he goes, no. That in reality, that was just a paperweight on my father's desk. And the pipe was just something that my mother had given him years ago, but it had no meaning out of anything. So I try to remember that sometimes when I'm like looking into the album cover for Leading to Nowhere, and I'm trying to find all this symbolism that may or may not be there. Um, Maybe that's just a statue, like that they liked the statue, and there is no significance beyond anything.
yeah, that could be.
I
That
know
could
that.
very well be.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole documentary. What is it? Room 237, room two, about symbols in The Shining, like where it can either be Native American mysticism. I think someone once suggested that The Shining uh, debunks the moon landing and like proves that the moon landing was a hoax. Like the person analyzed like what does the room symbolize actually? What does the lady symbolize? If you look at the pattern in the carpet, it matches up. It's just crazy stuff that people have way too much time on their hands. Of course, I shouldn't lambaste them because I'm one of those. I'm one of those people, so I shouldn't necessarily say anything mean about them. That's half the fun of the show is like going down the rabbit hole of
Yeah, trying
trying
to
to
figure out what stuff means.
what is the name
Yeah,
Slowner? Is it even
yeah,
Slowner? Is it even pronounced that way? I don't know.
yeah. we don't really know. But I did notice that there is another band called that just recently came out, like a super band, Slower.
I
Were
haven't
you
heard.
aware of that?
Oh wait, do they do like Black Sabbath songs, even slower than they are, or they do?
I'm
They
not
no,
sure.
it's not just. I think I have heard there. It's not just Black Sabbath, but I know they do like well-known covers of songs at like half speed.
Yeah, like they just released an album not too long ago, but yeah, they're called Slower.
Yeah,
And I'm which yeah, play the music even slower, but I'm wondering if Slowner kind of is along the same concept of that.
I don't know. It's so much fun to like try to pontificate about it, but I also don't want that to take away from the music. Like
Right.
I'm going to spend the majority of the show talking about my eccentric theories, but I really want anyone watching this to come away with like, go check this band out and listen to their music first. Then
Yeah.
follow me and Heather down the rabbit hole and try to figure out what the statue means, and who the statue might be, and what the name of the band, what the origin could be.
I can just see someone in the comments, you idiots, this is what the statue is.
Yeah. Well, this is. I mean, those those are hills that people are willing to die on.
Yeah, and maybe we've just with the statue and the cover, the cover album art and the name of the band and the way that the music is presented, hopefully we've piqued someone's interest
I hope so.
that they're gonna check it out.
Yeah, I hope we've earned enough credibility with at least one person that if we suggest listening to the music, they'll immediately go check it out.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
I mean, that would be the ultimate sign of respect. Like, oh wait, Heather said, maybe not me so much, but if you are like, I really like this band, I think you've earned enough credibility amongst our listeners to be like, oh, I'm gonna check them out.
Well, the good thing is you and I have similar taste in music.
That is true.
So, yeah.
That is true.
So,
Well, yeah, I mean, like some of the bands we end up listening to, I find through pretty inventive ways. Like, it's not that I've listened to their music and they've proven that they deserve for us to talk. Like King Bastard, I was like, oh yeah, I just like that name.
yeah.
And then they turned out to be really a good band.
Yeah.
So I've been lucky a lot of the time. I feel like you've done enough legwork where you're like, no, 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 I've vetted these bands. They're worth our time. And for me, I'm like throwing blindly at a dartboard, like, oh yeah, okay, we're going to talk about King Bastard. Perfect. So, but it's all
Yeah.
worked out. It's all
It
worked out.
has. It has worked out. I've been really, really incredibly surprised at the bands that you've come up with. And then you listen to them and you're like, wow, this this music is really good.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah.
I don't think I've ever. I think I've always made sure to listen to at least part of a song to make sure. Like I won't go on name alone. Like I think I listened to at least some of King Bastard's music before I suggested we put them on the sometimes I'll put them on the calendar and then I'll go back to just double check to make sure. Um, but I mean, the name alone will pique my interest. But then I think I need to kind of vet them a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
what's wonderful is like I can sort of lay back and just chill when it's your turn because I like your batting average is easily close to 1,000.
Well, thank you.
So if that's not worth you going to check out Slowner, just look at look at what we've brought forth and let the credibility just exist from the bands we've suggested. So, all right. Well, Slowner was this week, episode 105. We'll be back next week with my choice. And
Yes.
I can't remember who it is to the life of me. I could look, but I won't because I want it to be an air of mystery. But we will be
Yeah.
back with another episode. So thank you
Yeah.
for listening. Go check out
Yeah.
Sloan.
Yes.